The massive space station called Sanctum Prime floated in the darkness like a crystal city. Ships from hundreds of worlds came and went from its docking bays. Today was special. Today, the newest species would join the Galactic Confederation. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stepped off the human transport ship. Her black uniform looked plain next to the colorful robes and strange armor of the other beings around her. She carried a simple metal briefcase containing everything Earth had to offer the galaxy. The welcoming ceremony took place in the Grand Assembly Hall. Thousands of alien beings filled the floating seats. Elena had studied their species for months, but seeing them in person still amazed her. The Zephyrians looked like living crystals. Their bodies caught the light and threw rainbows across the walls. They had ruled space for over 10,000 years. Their technology was so advanced that humans could barely understand it. The Kalari moved as one giant group. Hundreds of insect-like creatures acted with one mind. When one turned its head, they all turned. When one made a sound, they all made the same sound. They controlled entire star systems through perfect teamwork. The Nexari stood tall and thin with silver skin. Machines covered their bodies like a second skin. They could think faster than any computer Earth had ever built. Their ships traveled between stars in days, not years. Chancellor Kyrith of the Zephyrians called the meeting to order. His crystal body rang like a bell when he spoke. "We welcome another young species to our confederation," he said. His voice sounded like music, but Elena heard the coldness in it. "Please present your gifts to the galaxy." Elena walked to the center of the hall. Every eye, sensor, and camera focused on her. She opened her briefcase and pulled out a small device. "This is our fusion reactor design," she said. "It can power a city for 50 years. The Nexari delegation made clicking sounds. Helena's translator told her they were laughing. "How simple," said Nexus Prime 9, the lead Nexari. "We moved past such crude energy sources millennia ago. Do you still burn things for heat as well?" More laughter came from the audience. Helena's face turned red, but she continued. "We also offer our medical knowledge," she said, pulling out a data pad. "We have cured most diseases on our world." Queen Vesic of the Kalari spoke with the voice of 1,000 insects. "Your biological forms are so fragile. We do not understand why you have not evolved past the need for medicine." Elena showed them humanity's weapons, their ships, their art, and their science. Each time the aliens found something to mock. The weapons were too simple. The ships were too slow. The art made no sense to their advanced minds. "Thank you for this presentation," Chancellor Kyrith said. "The Confederation welcomes Earth as a probationary member. You will be assigned appropriate duties." Elena knew what that meant. She had read the Confederation laws. Probationary members got the worst jobs. They cleaned up after the real members. They mined dangerous asteroids. They built colonies on worlds no one else wanted. After the ceremony, Elena found herself in a corridor with Captain Marcus Chen. Marcus commanded the human ship called Perseverance. He had brought Elena to this meeting. "That went well," Marcus said. Elena could hear the anger in his voice. "They think we are children playing with toys," Elena said. "Did you hear them? Crude energy sources, fragile biological forms. They talk about us like we are pets." A group of Nexari walked past them. Elena's translator picked up their conversation. "The new pets are cute," one Nexari said. "They think their little fusion bombs are weapons. Wait until they see what real weapons can do." "I heard they still fight wars on their home planet," another Nexari said. "How primitive. We solved violence thousands of years ago." "Give them time," the first one said. "Maybe in a few hundred years they will learn to think properly." Marcus and Elena watched them walk away. Other aliens pointed at the humans and made sounds that the translator called laughter. Over the next few weeks, the truth became clear. Humans got the jobs no one else wanted. They were sent to clean waste processing plants on distant worlds. They were ordered to mine asteroids in dangerous fields. They were told to build colonies on planets with deadly weather. The other species treated them like servants. When aliens needed something moved, they called for humans. When something broke and no one wanted to fix it, they gave it to humans. When a job was too dangerous for valuable species, humans got sent instead. Marcus found himself commanding waste collection ships. His crew, who had been trained as explorers and scientists, now picked up garbage from alien worlds. "This is not what we signed up for," said Dr. Sarah Kim, the ship's science officer. "I have 3 degrees in biology. Yesterday, an alien told me to clean their bathroom." "We knew it would be hard," Marcus said. But this is our chance to prove ourselves. Prove what? Asked engineer Tom Rodriguez. That we can take out their trash? That we can do jobs they think are beneath them? Marcus had no answer. Every day brought new insults. The aliens acted like humans were too stupid to understand simple things. They spoke slowly when talking to humans like talking to children. They laughed when humans tried to suggest better ways to do things. The worst part was the meetings. Once a week, all species reported to the Confederation Council. Humans sat in the back with the other new species. Elena watched as the important aliens made decisions about the galaxy. The Zephyrians will handle diplomatic missions, Chancellor Kyrith announced. The Nexari will manage technology development. The Kolari will oversee trade routes. And the humans? Asked Elena. Humans will continue sanitation and mining duties, the Chancellor said. Perhaps in a few centuries they will be ready for more complex tasks. The other aliens made their laughing sounds again. Elena felt her hands shake with anger. That night, Elena and Marcus sat in the human quarters on Sanctum Prime. They were small rooms in the station's lowest level, near the waste processing systems. They will never see us as equals, Elena said. To them, we are just another servant species. Maybe they are right, Marcus said. Look at their technology. Look at what they have built. We are like cavemen compared to them. No, Elena said firmly. We are different, not lesser. They have forgotten something important. What is that? They have forgotten how to survive when everything goes wrong. They have been safe and comfortable for so long, they think the galaxy will always be kind to them. Marcus looked out the small window at the stars. You think something bad is coming? I think the galaxy is bigger than they know, Elena said. And when something comes that their perfect technology cannot handle, they will remember why species like us still exist. Neither of them knew how right Elena was. Far away at the edge of the galaxy, something moved between the stars, something that would make the aliens' laughter stop forever. The Devourer was coming. 3 months after the humans joined the Confederation, the first warnings came from the edge of the galaxy. The deep space monitoring stations detected something impossible. Dr. Zeleth, the chief Zephyrian scientist, studied the readings for the 3rd time. His crystal body flickered with confusion. The sensors showed a massive distortion in space itself. Something was moving toward the inhabited systems, and it was bigger than anything they had ever seen. The readings must be wrong, Dr. Zeleth told his team. Nothing this large could exist. But the readings were not wrong. The thing moved from star to star like a hungry animal. When it reached a solar system, the stars simply disappeared, not destroyed or blown apart. They just stopped existing. The Nexari tried to scan it with their most advanced sensors. The machines that could see across entire galaxies could not understand what they were looking at. It was like trying to see into a hole in reality itself. It appears to consume matter and energy, reported Nexus Prime 9 to the Emergency Council meeting. But it does not follow any known laws of physics. Queen Vesic spoke with her 1,000 voices. The Kalari mind has analyzed all possibilities. This entity should not be able to exist. Yet it does. Chancellor Kirith's crystal body turned dark blue, which meant he was afraid. How fast is it moving? It will reach the outer colonies in 2 months, Dr. Zeleth said. The core worlds in 6 months. Panic spread through the Confederation faster than their fastest ships. Species that had lived in peace for thousands of years suddenly faced extinction. The thing, which they named the Devourer, destroyed everything in its path. The Zephyrians tried to create shields using their crystal technology. They built massive barriers of pure energy around entire star systems. The Devourer passed through them like they were not there. The Nexari built weapons that could crack planets in half. They fired at the Devourer with enough power to destroy 1,000 worlds. The weapons simply vanished when they touched it. The Kalari used their perfect teamwork to evacuate entire planets in days, but there was nowhere to run. The Devourer was bigger than the galaxy itself, and it was eating everything. Dr. Sarah Kim watched the emergency broadcasts from the human waste processing station where she worked. The greatest minds in the galaxy were helpless. Their advanced technology meant nothing against this threat. It does not make sense, she said to Captain Marcus Chen. How can something just eat reality? Marcus was cleaning equipment that had been broken by an alien crew. Maybe it makes perfect sense and we just do not understand it yet. The Confederation's best scientists cannot figure it out. What chance do we have? Maybe that is the problem, Marcus said. They are too smart. Sarah looked at him strangely. What do you mean? They think like machines. Everything has to follow rules. Everything has to make sense. But what if this thing does not follow any rules? On Sanctum Prime, the Confederation Council met every day now. The aliens who had once been so proud now looked scared and confused. Their perfect order was falling apart. We must evacuate the core worlds, suggested one Nexari leader. Where? Asked Chancellor Kyrith. The Devourer grows larger every day. Soon there will be nowhere to run. Perhaps we can negotiate with it, said a Kalari sub-queen. It is not alive, Dr. Zalith explained. It is more like a force of nature. You cannot negotiate with gravity. Elena Vasquez sat in the back of the chamber with the other probationary species. For 3 months she had listened to these aliens make decisions about the galaxy. Now she watched them struggle with a problem they could not solve. The humans request permission to speak, Elena said. The chamber fell silent. Every alien turned to look at the human delegation. The humans? Chancellor Kyrith sounded confused. What could you possibly contribute to this discussion? Elena stood up. We would like to examine the data about this devourer. The Nexari made their clicking laugh sounds. You cannot even understand our basic technology. How could you analyze data that has confused our greatest minds? Maybe because we do not have great minds, Elena said. Maybe because we are too primitive to know what is impossible. Queen Vesic spoke with annoyance in her 1,000 voices. This is not the time for jokes from lesser species. I am not joking, Elena said. You have tried everything that should work. Nothing works. Maybe it is time to try something that should not work. Chancellor Kyrith's crystal body flickered with frustration. Very well. If it will keep you quiet, you may examine the data. But do not waste our time with primitive theories. Elena bowed her head. Thank you, Chancellor. That night, Elena and the human team gathered in their small quarters. Dr. Sarah Kim connected her simple computer to the Confederation's data network. The readings from the Devourer filled her screen. Look at this, Sarah said. The Devourer moves in a straight line, but sometimes it curves around certain areas. Marcus looked at the star maps. Which areas? Places where there is quantum interference. Natural chaos in space-time. Engineer Tom Rodriguez joined them. You mean it avoids messy areas? Not avoids, Sarah said slowly. It has trouble eating them. The interference makes it harder for the Devourer to consume matter. Elena felt excitement growing in her chest. Can we create more interference? Theoretically, yes, Tom said. But it would require massive explosions. Nuclear bombs? Destroying planets? The aliens would never agree to such destruction. They might, Marcus said, if the choice is destruction or total extinction. Sarah worked through the night, running calculations on her simple computer. The math was complex, but the idea was simple. Create chaos to fight chaos, it could work, she told Elena in the morning. But the cost would be enormous. We would have to sacrifice entire star systems to save others. Elena looked at the data. Human colonies were marked in red on the star maps. Small, unimportant worlds that the Confederation barely noticed. The Devourer will reach the human colonies first, Elena realized. Yes, Sarah said quietly. We would have to destroy our own worlds to test this theory. Elena thought about Earth. Her home planet was not in immediate danger, but many human settlements would be consumed in the next few weeks. Brave colonists who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. We have to try, Elena said. It is the only chance anyone has. Marcus nodded. I will start preparing the Perseverance. If we are going to save the galaxy, we need to move fast. The aliens will try to stop us, Tom warned. They will not understand. Then we do not tell them, Elena said. We start the work and explain later. As the 3 humans made their plans, alarms began ringing throughout Sanctum Prime. New reports were coming in from the outer rim. The Devourer had consumed 3 more solar systems overnight. It was moving faster now, as if it was getting stronger. In the Grand Assembly Hall, the alien leaders argued about evacuation plans and desperate defense strategies. None of them noticed the small human ship leaving the station's docking bay. The Perseverance flew toward the outer rim, toward the approaching darkness that was consuming the galaxy. Captain Marcus Chen looked at his small crew of humans and smiled grimly. Well, team, he said, let us go save some aliens who think we are too stupid to help them. Behind them, the Devourer continued its relentless advance. Ahead of them lay the first human colony that would soon face destruction. The colonists did not know that their sacrifice might save the galaxy. They only knew that something terrible was coming for them. Time was running out for everyone. The human colony on Kepler 442b had been home to 50,000 people for only 2 years. They were farmers, engineers, and families who wanted to build something new among the stars. Now they had 3 days before the Devourer reached their system. Captain Marcus Chen stood in the colony's command center, looking at faces filled with fear and confusion. Governor Lisa Park, a woman who had led the colonists through their worst storms, waited for him to explain why he was here. "You want us to do what?" Governor Park asked. "Evacuate completely," Marcus said. "We need your system empty so we can detonate nuclear charges near your star." "You want to blow up our sun?" asked Chief Engineer David Santos. "Not blow it up," Dr. Sarah Kim explained. "Create gravitational chaos around it. The interference might slow down the Devourer." The colonists looked at each other with disbelief. They had worked for 2 years to build homes on this world. Their farms were finally producing food. Their children played in schools they had built with their own hands. "You're asking us to give up everything on a theory," Governor Park said. "Yes," Marcus admitted. "But if we do nothing, the Devourer will consume you in 3 days anyway. And if your plan does not work, then we will have destroyed your world for nothing." The silence in the command center was heavy. Outside the windows, children played in gardens their parents had planted. Farmers worked in fields they had cleared from alien soil. Governor Park closed her eyes. "How long do we have to decide?" "The evacuation ships will arrive in 6 hours," Marcus said. "The Devourer will be here in 72 hours. That is not enough time to save everything we have built." "No," Sarah said gently. "It is not. You can take your people, some supplies, and your memories. Everything else will be lost." Governor Park opened her eyes and looked at her people. These were humans who had left Earth to build something new. They understood sacrifice. "We need to vote," she said. The vote took 2 hours. Every adult colonist had a say. The decision was not easy, but it was clear. They would evacuate and let the humans try their desperate plan. As the colonists prepared to leave their homes forever, Marcus received an angry message from Sanctum Prime. Chancellor Kyrith's crystal face filled the communication screen. "You will stop this madness immediately," the Chancellor ordered. "The Confederation does not authorize the destruction of inhabited systems." "The system will be destroyed anyway," Marcus replied. "At least this way people might survive. Your primitive plan cannot work. Our scientists have calculated every possibility." "Your scientists have failed," Elena Vasquez said, joining the conversation. "They cannot stop the Devourer with their advanced technology. Maybe it is time to try primitive solutions." "I forbid this action," Chancellor Kyrith said. "Return to your assigned duties." Marcus looked at Elena. She nodded. Marcus turned off the communication. "We just disobeyed the Galactic Confederation," Tom Rodriguez said. "Yes," Marcus replied. "And we are about to commit what they will call cosmic vandalism." The evacuation took 18 hours. 50,000 people left everything they had built and climbed aboard transport ships. Many of them cried as they looked back at their world for the last time. Marcus watched the last ship leave the atmosphere. Now came the hard part. The Perseverance flew toward the system's star, pulling a chain of nuclear warheads behind it. These were not the advanced weapons the aliens used. They were simple fusion bombs, the kind the Nixari had laughed at months ago. "Positioning charges around the star's gravitational field," Tom reported. Sarah monitored her instruments. "The Devourer is 2 hours away. I can see the distortion it creates in space." "Beginning detonation sequence," Marcus announced. One by one, the nuclear charges exploded around the star. Each explosion sent waves of energy and matter spinning in different directions. The star's gravitational field began to wobble and twist. "It is working," Sarah said with excitement. "The gravitational chaos is spreading through the system." Marcus felt hope growing in his chest. Then his instruments detected movement at the edge of the system. "The Devourer is here," Tom said quietly. On their screens, they watched something impossible approach their star. The Devourer looked like a moving hole in space itself. Stars behind it simply disappeared as it passed. The entity reached the edge of their chaos field and slowed down. "It is working," Sarah shouted. "The Devourer cannot consume the chaotic matter as easily." But their celebration was short. The Devourer adapted. It began to move around the chaos field instead of through it. It is learning, Marcus realized. We slowed it down, but we did not stop it. The Devourer consumed their star anyway, but it took 6 hours instead of 6 minutes. 6 hours was not much, but it was something. We need bigger chaos field, Sarah said. Much bigger. Marcus sent their data to Elena on Sanctum Prime. Within an hour, he received her reply along with new coordinates. The next human colony is here, Elena's message said. And there are 3 more after that. Each one can create a larger chaos field. Marcus looked at the coordinates. 4 more human worlds. 4 more groups of people who would have to give up everything they had built. This is going to break my heart, Tom said. Then we will build new hearts, Marcus replied. Just like these people will build new homes. The Perseverance flew toward the next human colony. Behind them, their home star disappeared into the Devourer's endless hunger. Ahead of them lay another world full of people who would have to choose between their homes and their lives. Back on Sanctum Prime, Elena faced the anger of the Galactic Confederation Council. Every alien species was furious about the destruction of the Kepler system. You have committed an act of cosmic terrorism, Chancellor Kyrith accused. We bought you 6 hours, Elena replied. 6 hours that the Devourer did not have to consume other systems. 6 hours means nothing, Nexus Prime 9 said. The entity still approaches the core worlds. Then help us create bigger chaos fields, Elena challenged. Give us your weapons. Help us sacrifice systems to save the galaxy. We will not participate in such barbaric destruction, Queen Vesic declared. Elena looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Fear was winning over their pride, but they were still too proud to admit that humans might be right. Then we will do it ourselves, Elena said. Every human colony will vote. Every human world will decide if they want to sacrifice themselves for the galaxy. You cannot make such decisions without Confederation approval, Chancellor Kyrith said. Watch us, Elena replied. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind her, the aliens argued about laws and procedures and proper authority. Ahead of her lay a communication terminal where she could contact every human settlement in the galaxy. It was time to ask her species to do something impossible. It was time to ask them to destroy their own worlds to save aliens who mocked them. Elena thought about the colonists on Kepler 442b, now living in refugee ships with nothing but hope. She thought about Captain Marcus Chen, flying toward another colony to ask for another sacrifice. We will show them what survival really means, Elena whispered to herself. The Devourer continued its advance, but now it faced something it had never encountered before. It faced a species that would burn down their own house to stop a fire from spreading. It faced humanity. The vote results came in from across human space. Colony after colony chose the same thing. They would evacuate their worlds and let the humans destroy them to create chaos fields. New Beijing colony voted yes. New Lagos voted yes. New Mumbai, New Stockholm, and New Cairo all voted yes. 47 human settlements agreed to give up everything they had built. Elena Vasquez read each message with tears in her eyes. These people had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. Now they were throwing away years of work to save aliens who still called them primitive. The sacrifice plan is expanding, Elena announced to the Emergency Council meeting. We can create a network of chaos fields across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Chancellor Kyrith's crystal body turned red with anger. This destruction must stop. You are damaging the galaxy itself. The Devourer is damaging the galaxy, Elena replied. We are trying to save what we can. Your plan cannot work, Dr. Zelith said. We have run the calculations. Even with massive chaos fields, the entity will adapt and continue. Then we make bigger fields, Elena said. We sacrifice more. The aliens looked at her with horror. The idea of deliberately destroying worlds went against everything they believed. They had spent thousands of years building perfect civilizations. Humans wanted to tear it all down. You would destroy everything, Queen Vesic said with her 1,000 voices. To save everyone, Elena replied. Yes. Captain Marcus Chen was learning the true cost of their plan. He had visited 12 colonies now. Each time, families packed what they could carry and left homes they loved. Children cried as they left their pets behind. Farmers watched their crops burn as evacuation ships took off. At New Harmony Colony, Marcus met a little girl named Amy. She was 7 years old and did not understand why they had to leave. Will our house be okay? Amy asked her mother. Her mother, Dr. Janet Walsh, was one of the colony's scientists. She understood exactly what would happen to their house. "Our house will become part of something very important," Dr. Walsh told her daughter. "It will help protect other little girls in their houses." Marcus watched Amy nod seriously, like this made perfect sense to her. Children adapted better than adults sometimes. The evacuation took 2 days. When it was finished, Marcus prepared to detonate the largest chaos field yet. This one would sacrifice not just one star, but 3 stars in a tight cluster. Beginning the sequence, Marcus announced to his crew. The nuclear charges exploded in careful patterns around all 3 stars. The gravitational chaos spread like ripples in a pond, creating interference across half the solar system. Dr. Sarah Kim monitored the effects from the Perseverance. "The field is stable. If the Devourer enters this area, it will have to slow down significantly." "How significantly?" asked Tom Rodriguez. "Maybe days instead of hours." "That is still not enough time to evacuate the core worlds," Marcus said. "No," Sarah agreed. "But every hour we buy gives more refugees time to escape." The Devourer reached their chaos field 6 hours later. This time it could not adapt quickly. The entity struggled to consume the chaotic matter and energy. It spent 3 full days working through the field instead of 3 hours. But 3 days was still not enough. "We need to go bigger," Sarah told Marcus. "Much bigger." Marcus looked at the star charts. "How much bigger?" "We need to sacrifice an entire sector. 20 systems, maybe 30. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Marcus had been asking people to give up their homes. Now Sarah was asking him to destroy entire regions of space. "There are not enough human colonies in any sector," Tom said. "Then we ask for volunteers," Marcus replied. That night, Marcus sent a message to every human ship and station in the galaxy. He explained what they needed and why. He asked for volunteers to fly suicide missions, manually placing charges around stars and black holes. The response surprised him. Within hours, hundreds of volunteers responded. Military ships, cargo vessels, even passenger liners offered to help. Captain Jane Foster commanded a transport ship called the Hope. She had been carrying refugees from destroyed colonies. "I will take the black hole mission," she volunteered. "My ship is already damaged. We cannot carry refugees much longer anyway." Marcus stared at her message. Captain Foster was volunteering to fly into a black hole to manually detonate charges. She would die, and so would her crew. "Jane, you do not have to do this," Marcus sent back. "Yes, I do," she replied. "These refugees lost their homes to save the galaxy. The least I can do is make sure their sacrifice means something." Similar messages came from across human space. Engineers volunteered to fly into stellar cores. Pilots offered to kamikaze their ships into critical positions. Ordinary people chose to die so that others might live. Dr. Sarah Kim found herself volunteering for the most dangerous mission of all. Someone needed to coordinate the entire chaos network from the center of the effect. That person would not survive. "I have to do this," Sarah told Marcus. "I understand the science better than anyone." "Sarah, no," Marcus said. "We can find another way." "There is no other way," Sarah replied. "You know it, I know it. Someone has to stay behind to make sure the network activates properly." Marcus wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. Their plan required perfect timing. One person needed to coordinate everything from the center of the chaos field. Elena received reports of the volunteer missions with a heavy heart. Humans across the galaxy were choosing death to save aliens who still did not understand what was happening. On Sanctum Prime, something unexpected occurred. A single Kalari drone approached Elena's quarters. This had never happened before. Kalari always moved in groups, never alone. "I am subunit 7847 of the Kalari Collective," the insect-like being said. "I request to speak privately." Elena invited the drone inside. "What can I do for you?" "I have been watching the human volunteers," the drone said. "They choose individual death to save others. This confuses the collective mind." "Sacrifice is difficult to understand," Elena agreed. "The collective has decided to attempt something dangerous," the drone continued. "We will temporarily break our mental connection. We will try to think like humans." Elena stared at the alien. "That could kill you." "Yes," the drone said. "But we have calculated that thinking like humans might save more lives than thinking like Kalari. Why are you telling me this?" "Because if we break our collective mind, We will need humans to teach us how to be individuals, how to make choices that do not make logical sense. Elena felt tears in her eyes again. The aliens were finally starting to understand. Humans were not primitive. They were different. They could think in ways that pure logic could not. I will help you, Elena promised. Meanwhile, the volunteer missions began. Captain Foster flew her damaged ship toward a massive black hole. Her mission was to detonate charges at the exact moment needed to create gravitational chaos. Hope to all ships, she transmitted, beginning final approach. It has been an honor serving with you. Her ship disappeared into the black hole's event horizon. The charges detonated exactly on schedule. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Humans died to create chaos fields that would slow the devourer. Each sacrifice bought a few more hours for refugees to escape. Dr. Sarah Kim prepared for her own final mission. She would coordinate the entire chaos network from a ship positioned in the most dangerous location possible. Marcus, she said over the communication link. When this is over, make sure they remember. Make sure they know that humans did not do this for glory or recognition. Why did we do it? Marcus asked. Because it was the right thing to do, Sarah replied. Because someone had to. The devourer approached the chaos network that human sacrifice had created. It was the largest artificial structure in galactic history, a web of gravitational interference spanning dozens of star systems. For the first time since it began consuming the galaxy, the devourer stopped moving forward. Sarah Kim smiled as she activated the network. Her ship disintegrated in the massive gravitational forces, but the chaos field held. The galaxy had learned what human survival really meant. It meant doing the impossible when the possible was not enough. The chaos network held for 6 months. The devourer, trapped in a web of gravitational interference spanning half the galaxy, slowly began to break apart. The entity that had consumed entire star systems found itself unable to process the chaotic matter and energy that humans had created. Captain Marcus Chen watched from his command post as the final readings came in. The devourer was dissipating, its coherent structure falling apart in the face of organized chaos. It is over, reported Lieutenant Commander Lisa Torres, who had taken Dr. Sarah Kim's place as science officer. The entity is breaking down into harmless energy. Marcus felt exhaustion wash over him. They had won, but the cost had been enormous. 47 human colonies destroyed, hundreds of volunteers dead. Dr. Sarah Kim and Captain Foster and so many others who had given everything to save a galaxy that had mocked them. On Sanctum Prime, the emergency session of the Galactic Confederation Council was unlike any in their history. For the first time in thousands of years, the alien leaders sat in silence. Chancellor Kyrith's crystal body had turned a color no one had seen before. It was the color of humility. The humans saved us, he said quietly. We called them primitive, and they saved us all. Queen Vesic spoke with voices that trembled. The Kalari Collective has successfully separated into individuals. We are learning to think like humans. It is difficult but valuable. Nexus Prime 9's mechanical parts clicked slowly, a sign of deep thought in his species. We have analyzed the human approach to the crisis. Their willingness to accept total loss to prevent greater loss shows strategic thinking we had not considered. Elena Vasquez stood before the council once more. But this time she was not representing a probationary species. This time she spoke for the beings who had saved the galaxy. Honored members of the Confederation, Elena began. Humanity accepts your gratitude. But we did not save you for gratitude. We saved you because it was right. We understand that now, Chancellor Kyrith said. We failed to see that survival requires more than advanced technology. It requires the willingness to sacrifice everything when necessary. Yes, Elena replied. And the wisdom to know when sacrifice is necessary. The Council voted unanimously to grant humanity full membership in the Confederation. Not probationary membership, full rights and responsibilities as senior partners. But the changes went deeper than political status. Across the galaxy, alien species began studying human psychology, human tactics, and human philosophy. The Zephyrians, who had ruled through perfect logic for 10,000 years, started teaching courses on intuitive decision-making. The Nexari, masters of technology, began developing primitive backup systems that would work when advanced technology failed. They called it human-style redundancy. The Kalari learned to value individual thought alongside collective action. Their new hybrid consciousness was chaotic and inefficient, but it could solve problems that pure collective thinking could not handle. More importantly, the galaxy's approach to survival changed completely. The old way was to build perfect defenses and hope nothing could break them. The new way was to prepare for the worst and know how to rebuild when everything was destroyed. Ambassador Elena Vasquez found herself appointed as the first human representative to the Confederation's Senior Council. Her first act was to establish the Survival Protocol, a set of principles based on human thinking. When faced with extinction, the protocol read, "Conventional wisdom may not be enough. Be prepared to sacrifice the good to save the essential. Be willing to appear irrational if rationality has failed. Remember that survival sometimes requires destroying what you love to protect what you need." Captain Marcus Chen received command of the new flagship Resilience, the most advanced ship the Confederation had ever built. But its most important feature was not its weapons or shields. It was the memorial wall in its main corridor. The wall contained the names of every human who had died to save the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Kim, Captain Jane Foster, the 50,000 colonists who had voted to destroy their own worlds, all the volunteers who had flown suicide missions into black holes and stellar cores. Marcus read those names every day. They reminded him that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers. It was their willingness to do the impossible when the possible was not enough. 1 year after the Devourer's defeat, Marcus received an unexpected communication. It came from the edge of the galaxy, where the chaos fields were still slowly dissipating. "This is Commander Lisa Torres of the exploration vessel New Hope," the message said. "We have discovered something remarkable in the debris field." Marcus watched the data transmission with growing amazement. Where the largest chaos field had been, new stars were forming. The gravitational interference had collapsed gas clouds into stellar nurseries. Life was being born from the destruction. "It appears," Torres continued, "that our chaos network did not just stop the Devourer, it created the conditions for new solar systems to form. We may have accidentally seeded this region with thousands of new worlds." Marcus smiled as he looked at the star charts. The regions where humans had sacrificed their colonies were becoming the most active stellar formation areas in the galaxy. New worlds were being born where old worlds had died. Elena received the same report in her office on Sanctum Prime. She sat back in her chair and thought about the little girl named Amy, who had asked if her house would be okay. "Yes, Amy," Elena whispered. "Your house became part of something very important indeed." The Galactic Confederation was no longer the same organization that had mocked humanity a year ago. It had learned that intelligence came in many forms. Logic was valuable, but so was intuition. Technology was important, but so was the willingness to abandon technology when it failed. Most importantly, they had learned that survival was not about avoiding destruction. It was about rising from destruction stronger than before. The aliens who had once called humans primitive now sought human advice on everything from military strategy to philosophical questions. Species that had lived in comfort for millennia now prepared for the next impossible crisis. Because they had learned the most important human lesson of all. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and survival required the kind of courage that looked like madness to logical minds. Commander Lisa Torres stood on the bridge of the Resilience as Marcus's second-in-command. She was the first human to command a Confederation flagship, but she would not be the last. Humans now served in leadership positions throughout the galaxy. "Course laid in for the Kepler Memorial System," Torres reported. "The ceremony begins in 3 hours." Marcus nodded. Today marked the first anniversary of the sacrifice that had saved the galaxy. Representatives from every species would gather in the system where it all began, where 50,000 humans had chosen to lose their homes so that billions of aliens could keep theirs. As the Resilience flew toward the memorial, Marcus thought about the words that would be spoken today. Words about courage and sacrifice and the price of survival, but he also thought about the words that would not be spoken. How humanity had been mocked and dismissed, how the aliens had called them primitive and worthless. Those words did not matter anymore. What mattered was that when the galaxy needed someone to do the impossible, humans had stepped forward. They had shown the galaxy what survival really meant. The memorial service was attended by representatives from every member species of the Confederation. They came to honor the humans who had died to save them all. But they also came to learn. Today we remember not just the sacrifice, Elena spoke to the assembled crowd, but the choice. The choice to value life over comfort. The choice to risk everything for others. The choice to believe that impossible problems require impossible solutions. The crowd was silent as Elena finished her speech. Then slowly the applause began, not just from humans but from every species present. The Zephyrians rang like crystal bells. The Kalari made their harmonic buzzing sound. The Nexari activated their appreciation circuits. But the most important sound was the silence that followed. The silence of beings who finally understood that they had been saved by the very qualities they had once mocked. The galaxy would never mock humans again, because they had learned what humans had always known. When everything else fails, someone has to be willing to burn down the house to stop the fire from spreading. Someone has to show the galaxy what survival really means.